We're live.
We are live. Good morning. Happy Friday, LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, friends, family, colleagues, etc. Andy and I guess, decided to match today. We did the black t-shirts, but Max, I'm glad you're being original with the white.
I got the black t-shirt on. I mean,
we should have put Max in the middle.
I know.
Creative people understand. Black goes with everything.
Exactly. I know. I was just talking to Andy before this because he always wears a black t-shirt. I'm usually in some like bright color. And I was like, wow, it must be so easy to pick out outfits because you don't have to go through all the colors and see what goes together. So I'm envious. I'm really excited for our chat today. We might talk about jean shorts.
Yes.
Not sure. We'll get there. So if you just tuned in, you'll want to stick around. But I want to make sure we introduce our amazing guest today, Max Gerson. He is with brand Wolfe, and he is the brand Sherpa, which we will get into exactly what that means. And he is intentional, creative, and quick to switch into inspire mode as he helps a client tell their story. So 3 core values drive Max's instincts: giving, solving, and protecting. And there's also a really good story behind that as well, because obviously, if you're in branding, you have a story. And after nearly 2 decades in sales, marketing, and branding, Max has become an expert in reading the entire map, as well as picking out the smaller details. So thanks for being here, Max.
Hey, thanks for that lovely and accurate introduction.
I gotta say, I'm pretty sure you probably came up with that. So let's start with exactly what does brand Sherpa mean as your title? Because I'm sure a lot of people are curious about that.
Yeah, it's just true that we've all had some difficulty or bad experiences like buying marketing, right? And this is true for me too. And it doesn't mean that marketing people are bad, but sometimes it's hard to know what you want. Right. So really what we like to say at Brand Wolfe is you can't read the label from inside the jar. Our clients ourselves, we're just too close to our brand to really understand what we need, why we need it. What's the difference between our tension and the true source of that tension, right? Symptoms and root causes. So really what's required when you're stuck, when you're lost, you've got to climb up high. You've got to get above the trees. You've got to get above the fog. You've got to get to the top of Flagstaff Mountain or whatever 14er you're closest to here in Colorado. And you've got to read more of the map. You've got to see the whole thing and then decide what to do and why. So the analogy is really about climbing a mountain and finding clarity. And branding people do this all day, every day, right? We're the Sherpas. We're going up, we're fixing the ropes, but we have to keep the client safe. We have to all stay together on that journey. That's actually the most critical part of the work, right? If you're a consultant, I mean, this is true, I think, of any type of outside consulting, right? If you get too far ahead of the client, like you can see it, you know it's true. But if you start talking about something that they can't see yet, and you kind of stay there for too long, the client's going to get frustrated.
Right.
So, after actually a bad experience with a client, we've been fired before. I think most consultants would be lying if they say that every project's been perfect. So
yeah, not possible.
We're just honest about the fact that, we had a bad experience with the client once, and I think the work was great, but, the client wasn't happy. And we really did a deep post-mortem. And after that, I changed my title, and I really changed the focus of my responsibility to my clients.
Ooh, so what was your title before brand Sherpa?
Lead strategist.
Got it. So more of like what you'd expect working with, in that world. I like it because it's unique and unexpected. And I'm sure everyone asks, what does that mean?
And I am sensitive to co-opting other cultures. So I will just say, I've been to Nepal. I've done the Annapurna circuit. I have friends in Kathmandu. And I called Deepak to make sure I wasn't being a schmuck before I did this. And he gave me his blessing.
And
Well,
being
then,
from Boulder, Colorado, it also lends itself to your own branding to be ascending mountains and guiding people, right?
Yeah, I'm just sitting out my window here in Boulder staring at the Flatiron. So very topical.
It's cool because it's actually applicable. And I know you've had that explanation ready. And I'm sure people ask you every day around the water cooler, which is great conversation because so many people now name themselves chief inspiration officer or something, which just looks different on LinkedIn, but doesn't really mean anything. And it's cool that, and you're the owner of the business. And even before you called yourself strategist instead of CEO. One of my big pet peeves is it's easy to call yourself a C-suite executive of a company of 3 people or whatever. So having something that is meaningful and having something that is mission based, like what you said, is really cool. We love the Sherpa. We tell all our clients about it.
Mm-hmm. Well, here's the thing. You guys make things, right? You make podcasts, PR, marketing, you make pieces, you make spots, but most of us don't make anything, right? We're not making pencils. We're not making shoes. We're not making tires. What we're making every day are just decisions. And brand values should be your North Star, right? Your brand strategy should be the thing that you look to, not when it's easy, but when it's hard, right? So the title of Sherpa, of course, I'm a strategist. I don't need to remind myself of that, right? That's what we do. What I do need to remind myself of is how to be generous with my clients, how to solve their business problems, and how to protect them and their brand, right? As we do really important work.
Awesome. And I feel like this leads us perfectly to kind of explain those 3 values and the interesting story behind why those guide your business.
Yeah. The early days of the pandemic were tough for us, just like a lot of people. We had great clients, and some of them, we'd be halfway through a huge project, and some of them were just like, I don't know if this business is going to exist tomorrow. So like, I love you. Goodbye. Just not my biggest problem. Like, totally understand that. So we made it through. We hit our business goals. It was actually podcasting that saved us. And after that, we said, we're just gonna invest in ourselves, and we're gonna rebrand. Right? We're not gonna change, but we're gonna become more of who we've always been. And really what came out of that, I think the most valuable thing that came out of that exercise wasn't like a new tagline, wasn't a new selling message, wasn't a new brand promise, but it was our brand values. Give, solve, protect, right? We have to be generous in our thinking. We have to share the wisdom early and often. We have to actually solve business problems. A lot of creative people forget that, this is a for-profit enterprise and this has to make sense. And lastly, we have to protect people. Humans have bad instincts. In 2022, we just want to take a pill to solve the problem. We just want to write a check and have the problem go away, right? So that's not healthy. That's not how the universe works. And as we go through the process of learning about their brand and helping them on their journey, we have to protect them from their own dangerous instincts.
Right. And I feel like that's a really interesting component that a lot of people don't think about. You might work with someone that does branding and they give you some ideas, they give you some materials, but the protect element, I feel like, isn't always included.
Tension is part of the game. And it's really my responsibility to not just be a professional service provider, but to be a friend to the brand and to my clients. And that means you got to tell them the truth, right? If your best friend, Abby, is just chasing the wrong guys, you would tell them because you love them.
Oh man, we're going to use that clip. I wish I had put some inspirational music under it or something. I always forget about the sound cards we have on here.
Oh, good.
Max.
I like But yeah, it's really critical. And, you know, we just embrace that with open arms. And we let people know that we want you to have fun. We want you to like us. But there's going to be some difficult moments on this journey. We might get some weather. We might get some storms. We might have to climb up and over a big obstacle. But we're going to do it together. And we're not going to lie to you. We're not going to tell you what you want to hear. We're going to tell you the truth.
I love it. Andy, good music there to have our inspirational talk from Max. I love it.
I made a whole set of like air horn and cool things. I keep meaning to implement those.
Oh my God. Well, maybe when we talk about jorts later, you can break out the air horn.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Let's not have DJ Khaled.
You're right. Let's maybe not go there on the stream. But I think that is like the unique value, obviously, of Brand Wolfe and what you do. And a big thing in the title of the stream today was to talk about brand therapy, which is another unique thing. You know, kind of talk about that and how you work with people and give them therapy for their brands.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a big therapy person. I think we all need therapy. I have a therapist. I have a business coach. I have kind of my own branding coach and mentor too. I'm happiest when I'm growing. Happiest when I'm learning. But you know what's regular therapy all about, right? Something's not right. You don't know why or where or what to do with that. So you go and talk to someone to figure that out. And do they tell you what you want to hear? Do they tell you what to do? No, they help you figure out what you need to do differently to either understand this, move beyond this, make a decision, whatever that is. And we've just found that is so often the case with business owners, right? They're good at everything else. They just could care less about the marketing. You know, it's not what they're good at. It's a pain point, but it's not their biggest problem. And a lot of times when we talk to people, they're just not sure what to do. And so we really, in an effort to protect people, we don't want you sprinting off in the wrong direction. So when people are stuck or they're evaluating options, they're not sure how to close the gap, how to get to that other side, we talk about it. So, you know, brand therapy is a process whereby we talk about what your pain and tension in your sales and marketing and brand ecosystem looks like. We evaluate some of the different opportunities that are available to you. We'll probably show you a whole bunch more. But it's a structured process. It's a 10-hour engagement. The cost is only $4,000. And I like to think about it as almost an insurance policy, right? Before you go invest, you know, $3,000 a month, $10,000 a month with that marketing firm, wouldn't it just be nice to know that you feel clear and confident about what you're doing, why you're doing it, and what you need to get out of it?
It totally makes sense. And then what kind of transformations do people see in brand therapy? Or is this just kind of scratching the surface and getting them ready for more?
Yeah, I mean, this is really designed to get people to the starting line, right? The idea is that they're not ready, they're not clear, they're not confident about what type of marketing services to buy. They don't know, maybe it's internal, but what we're talking about is investing resources. We're talking about making a bet on your brand. And what we know at the end of the day, if you want business outcomes, if you want to improve those business outcomes, it's not about having a shiny object. A cooler logo doesn't make you more money. It's the behavior. The human behavior determines those outcomes. And it's behavioral in the same way that traditional therapy is. Let's get you clear and confident about where to go next. And, you know, what have some of those outcomes been? The big headline here, I would say, is $20 million. We had a client who was in an industry that was not well positioned, shall we say, after the pandemic. They had an opportunity to exit, and they were fighting it. And they were fighting it for the right reasons, because they cared about their brand. They cared about their team. Where are these people going to go? What are they going to do? But at the end of the day, the exit was the right move. And I honestly don't think that this person would have come to that same conclusion had we not just talked about it, but just go all the way down the rabbit hole in a 10-hour type of engagement. We've seen other people who were ready to go pursue a large member organization that would have required a ton of capital. Mm-hmm. And what do you need? Why is this important to you? How are we going to do this? Right? Who are the other people that are doing this or have done this? How do you think they did it? Are you prepared to go there? Mm-hmm. And what we found was that it was a great idea. It was a bridge too far. The answer was in the middle. And this client was able to really commit to a less aspirational, but a more achievable next step.
Nice. I feel like it's kind of a mix of business coaching as well. Kind of guiding people through that, which is so amazing, because I think a lot of people might hire someone for branding and have a lot of assumptions. Like, I'm going to get a new logo.
Abby, you might connect with this. I've always been like the Jewish mother in my friends group.
Oh, I love it.
And you're right. There is just kind of a lot of advice and consulting and business coaching. Definitely want to plug Cultivate Advisors. They have been the business coaching brand that's been in our corner for the last 5 years. We're on our second coach with them now, which is a beautiful thing. Sometimes teachers can kind of give you one book of wisdom, but not 10. So, I like to say that, strong brands should have many strong parents.
That's right. Great. Everyone's got to have their Jewish mama,
Yeah, come on. Chicken soup for your brand.
I like it. We're coming up with so many good ideas.
No surprise.
So what about jorts? Can we talk about those? Is there good branding around jean shorts? And you're wearing some. I love it.
Yes. So we lost our house in the Marshall Fire. And I currently have more mountain bikes than pairs of pants.
Oh my gosh.
I was born in 1980, grew up in the 90s, and like jean shorts were a thing. The Tommy Hilfiger with the carpenter hammer loop on the side.
I'm picturing it now.
And I don't know, jean shorts just came back into my life in a big way, and they've just been this like delightful piece of clothing that I really enjoy wearing to meetings. I led a leadership group, Colorado Thought Leaders Forum, presented in the group wearing jean shorts, Crocs, and Guns N' Roses socks.
Yes, I love it. Was the response good? I feel like that's a pretty good outfit.
They didn't throw me out, so I feel like that was fine. But I think that's the other just kind of fun thing about doing business in Colorado and Boulder and Denver is it's really down to earth, right? And I think people really meet you at the level of your ideas, not your outfit. But
right.
That might be self-serving as well, because I'm just going to keep wearing jean shorts.
But you're also representing local brand Crocs. So, that's good too.
Well, shout out to Crocs. After the fire, they were a brand that showed up and handed out tens of thousands of pairs of shoes. And I was not a Croc person before, but, I am now.
Right. Because seeing like a brand do good, and I was curious to ask you about this too. It seems like a lot of successful companies and many new companies now need to have some kind of mission, like kind of what we talked about with Brand Wolfe, or some kind of giving back or sustainability. How do you approach that with different brands? Do you think everything needs that kind of mission-driven thing?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's simpler than that, actually. Charity, being generous, altruism are wonderful things. We We all need to give more and do more, but just be the brand that loves you back. We all have an opportunity for that in every hour of every day of working with our clients.
Right.
Do you see that you're working with a different kind of client than you did pre-pandemic?
Not necessarily. It's an interesting question, but I don't think that that's really changed a whole lot. I think the fundamentals are still the same, right? I think the world is moving faster. I think digital is getting, harder and harder every day. We all got online, and, digital tends to want to be, kind of steady state growth, right? Digital gets harder every year, but, we're really working in a 30,000 foot view, right? We're really focusing on kind of philosophy, fundamentals, strategy. And that stuff doesn't change for us, really. I mean, at the micro level, sure. But up where we like to play, the bird's eye view, I would say the fundamentals are still pretty unchanged.
And what do you think are some of the biggest pitfalls or mistakes that people fall into when thinking about branding?
Yeah, I mean, I think some of the big mistakes are, people just aren't telling themselves the truth.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Interesting.
A lot of business owners will care a lot about their brand strategy and will say, okay, how much money are you going to invest in marketing? And they'll say, well, we were kind of hoping that after this, we could be done spending money.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, plug that into your business model and show me the return.
Yeah, right. Are you ever done spending money on marketing?
The grass is only green where you water it. And so, we get it that budgets can shrink and shift. But the thing that we're pretty hardcore about is, how are you going to reverse engineer the business outcome? You want to grow your company from $1 million to $2 million. It's like a poker analogy, right? There's $1 million in the pot. You've got to make a bet. You don't want to have to bet $1 million to win $1 million. But what are you going to do to bet on your brand?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a really good way to put it. Because I do feel like sometimes the world of marketing, we're all involved in it in different facets. It can be intimidating to people. Maybe they just get sucked into running ads rather than thinking about their brand. I feel like Andy will definitely have some things to say about this too.
I mean, we live in an era where more children want to become an influencer than a firefighter, and it's just changed. And so many people are succeeding in brands that are e-commerce based, that are just purely built around Facebook and Instagram and TikTok ads. And so all the brands that I'd ever worked with were in consumer retail and food and beverage. And so buying something at a grocery store, most of those folks were not ready for e-commerce during the pandemic. And that's one of the reasons why I asked Max, because at the time I was working with a lot of seed stage farmers market kind of folks. And I got handwritten notes that were drenched in tears. And, we were doing credit plans and payment plans and deferred anything. And I still had a staff to pay. And so post pandemic, we've been pretty hesitant, although we still want to affect those same people. It's one of the reasons that I transitioned to media, to affect a larger community all at once without being independently invested emotionally in each and every one of them individually. And Max's company has always been so mission driven. One of the things that I always am so interested in when it comes to Max is, you have a very unique culture in a town that is filled with advertising agencies. And Boulder is like ad people and tech people, and attracting the employees and the contractors and the partners that you guys work with that are all ready to subscribe to this mission-based agenda to help not necessarily a specific type of company. We always ask you, do you want to reach a specific audience in terms of industry? Should you be talking to mountain biking companies over insurance companies? And you're like, no, it's about the person, and it's interesting because you don't always get to the level of hearing about the person. And a lot of that extends to personal brand. And you talk regularly about how you invest in your personal brand, how you represent yourself, then the business, then the services. And that's a hierarchy that is different than most businesses. They don't really take the time to sit back and think about how they're representing themselves. I know so many people that will take a course and maybe at the end of it, they have a new business plan. But like you said, then you have to go do something. You can't win unless you play your cards, and they have to go spend money on advertising or on PR of some kind or something. And that's the big issue with people who are really hesitant about spending every last shekel on getting a coach or getting a consultant or getting a PR agency, is they think they're just going to have to pay for that part, but then they have to turn around and actually pay for the media placements or speaking engagements or get out there and do something with it. And more often than not, that wasn't included in the initial budget, which shame on the person on the other side of the table for not telling them they're going to need a little extra. But that person also probably shouldn't be overextending.
Andy, you demonstrated it yourself, right? You made a tactical pivot. And so we talk a lot about tactics, right? Because look, it's all just mental masturbation unless you change the behavior.
Right. It's so, yeah, it's so true. And even, with disrupticity, we've been open that we have added new things so that we can serve people better. I feel like, I think you touched on this a little earlier, Max, if you're not growing, then what's happening? So it's kind of always thinking, how can we serve people better in a different way? I think it's probably anyone watching this could benefit from a brand therapy session. Shameless plug.
I certainly agree.
Yeah. And then you have another interesting workshop, Max, that you were telling us about, the brand communications workshop. Do you have to be local for that? Is it virtual? Tell us about it.
Yeah, I mean, I think the brand communications workshop has been kind of an answer to a number of client needs, client opportunities, right? Mm-hmm. So we started meeting some different people, and they had a great product. It's been battle tested. The results are there. The visual identity is in a good place, right? It's not the boat anchor. And so really what we are hearing from some of these clients were, we need better selling messages, right? This is a great product, but we don't have the type of creative to enter the market and move through the market, right? So what can we do about that? So basically with the creative messaging workshop, what we're doing is we're applying the same practice that we would apply to any brand strategy project. We're not touching strategy. We're not touching visual identity. We're not touching logo or look and feel, but we're literally what we list as the deliverable in the contract is a war chest of creative. And it's not all going to be perfect. And that's why it's a workshop, right? So we learn as much as we can learn in the right ways. The creative team retreats, fill the war chest. But the path to good ideas in my world is lots and lots of bad ones, right? Before the first ship was created, the first shipwreck was created. So we open up the war chest, we review it with the client, we filter out, what's great, what can we buy, what needs to be killed, right? Separate the good from the bad. And then what they're left with is an absolute armament of new creative for them to just fuel their marketing tactics, right? Because I think one of the big misconceptions that people have, especially with like websites, I've seen a lot of people, quote unquote, buy a new website. The old website was fine, but what they're trying to solve for is, how do I have a conversation with my audience? And they're just hoping that the web developer is going to do that, but that's not how the universe works. So if people are, in that position where we've got a product, we want to bring this thing to market, but we're just not confident in the creative, the selling messages, the ads, if you want to get a little Mad Men with it, like I'll be your Don Draper, let's go.
I just want
I
to
love
dive
that.
into the almanac of Brand Wolf, because every time you talk about this stuff, like your processes are branded, your services are branded, every one of them has a sweet name. I want to write down War Chest.
Who doesn't want a war chest of creative?
Ooh, I do.
Right.
Sounds
Yeah.
amazing.
Just
So
go
cool.
dig around in there.
So good.
We'll get the next the next campaign's in there. You just got to pull it out.
Do you remember the Felix the Cat cartoons where he had the bag where he could reach down and grab anything? I don't know why they never rebooted that one. It was a hot take.
Man, Felix the Cat, strong recall, Andy.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Wow, we really talked about everything this morning. Felix the Cat, jorts, Crocs, branding.
It's Friday and the sun is shining. Let's, fun with a capital F, please.
I know. If you're not having fun, we're doing it wrong.
That's
and
right.
we should figure out how to do it differently.
That's right.
So, Max, I know we're almost at our time, but I always like to end these with, hey, we got music coming in, Andy.
You sounded like you were bringing it home.
Max, where can people connect with you, follow you, reach out to you for brand therapy or the workshop? Let us know.
Let's keep it simple. Come find us at brandwolfe.com. That's BRANDWOLFE.com. Love to have a chat. Love to learn more about you. But let me take a second and just say thank you, Abby. Thank you, Andy, for having me on today, for being so generous. If you're listening to this and you're not yet a client of Disrupcity, you really need to reconsider that. I think I've referred maybe possibly 200 people to you guys since we've been working together.
So
over
many.
The last 90 days.
Amazing.
And we do that for a reason. You guys provide a really valuable service, and we're all really grateful that you are in our corner. So thank you.
Well, Max, you've also been really inspiring in how much of a thoughtful connector you are, because I swear I have people walk up to me on the street that say that they know you, and it's like, what, were you following me? I don't know. We've met so many people that you've introduced us to, and so many people just by chance that know you, and it's very odd to be at an event and you've become the first person that I bring up of the do we have any mutual contacts, because you've just gone out of your way to do favors for anyone and to connect anyone, and we've really appreciated being the beneficiary of that and a partner of yours.
Well, maybe we can end it here and just say that on a Friday, in a world full of privilege, we have to walk each other home from the bar in life.
What a way to end it. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Thank you, Max.
Have a great Friday.
All right. Thanks, guys.